Although not as in-depth as Western Europe, Eastern Europe has its fair share of ancient history. One of the more mysterious is that of the land that would be known as Poland. This is the ancient history of Poland. Poland, unlike most of Europe, had a bit of a prolonged Stone Age. This was mainly because the area suffered greatly from unpredictable mini ice ages. One minute the land would be habitable, the next minute it would be covered in ice. Eventually, a prolonged warming period gave the migrating people of the Danube River the chance to start migrating into the region, beginning around 5500 BC. These migrants from the Danube brought with them their semi-nomadic lifestyle, a lifestyle that eventually morphed into a more permanent one, allowing the once nomads to start farming. This seemed to have influenced the somewhat scattered populations in Poland, who also started farming, copying the newcomers. This occurred sometime between 4000 and 2000 BC. Naturally, this settled lifestyle led to the development of bronze smelting. This seems to have been pioneered in Poland by the Unetists culture. These people left a large amount of this newfound metal. They also covered a wide range of territory, with a subgroup settling in Poland. By the late Bronze Age, the Lusitian culture came to be the dominant culture in the region. These people had close contact with their neighbours, specifically the Nordic and Celtic cultures, influencing particularly the designs of their weaponry. This culture eventually transitioned into the Iron Age, building an impressive walled settlement called Biskupin. However, the Lusitians were virtually wiped out by a series of Scythian invasions beginning in the 6th century BC. As Poland and Europe moved into the time frame known as Classical Antiquity, the land seems to have become a hodgepodge of various peoples. Most prominent were the Celts, Germans, and Baltic peoples, although there is some evidence that by this time a small group of Slavic people had begun to settle in the region. Poland at this time seems to have been more of a materialistic culture, with large princely graves from this period being common. Perhaps the most important group to arrive in Poland during this time was that of the Goths, who migrated down a river from their native Germanic lands, conquering a small region for themselves, and then, after a few years, decided to up and leave, heading towards the Baltic. By 500 AD, pretty much all of the Germans who had settled in the regions began a mass migration towards richer lands, taking advantage of the fact that the nearby Western Roman Empire had just collapsed. This left the Baltics as the dominant group in Poland. However, they had always been on the fringes, and they seemed to have stayed that way. With the land open for anyone to claim it, Poland saw a gradual increase of Slavs arriving from the region known as Polesia, roughly on the borders between Belarus, Ukraine, Western Russia, and far eastern Poland. In the following centuries, a majority of Poland would be settled by these Slavs, who after a few years of settling into the region, eventually formed dozens of scattered Polish tribes by the beginning of the 8th century. These tribes would eventually unite a few centuries later, forming the state that is today known as Poland. Thank you for watching and listening to our videos. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe if you've enjoyed. All sources are listed and linked in the description below. I've been the Ancient History Guy, and as always, I'll be seeing you later.